So my dear friends, I welcome all of you on board, and tonight's topic will be 7 elimination organs plus 1. And that plus 1 will be a little mystery, and I suppose sooner or later we'll figure it out on your own. And we can dive into the 8th one. And we have a ministry with my wife, with Sylvia, revivalseminars.org, which is with special emphasis on character building. And we do it for the Fit Challenge. So this is our kind of joint venture. And we would like you to be blessed tonight. So we can start with a prayer. And somebody is running his audio. Would you mind to turn off your audios? Somebody's noise is there. Thank you. It sounds clear. So let us pray. Our loving Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight's opportunity to stop and think for a while about our human bodies, how marvelously you created every detail, such a way that we can enjoy their life with all our senses, and not just from individual standpoint, but also in that social dimension that we are support to one another and brotherhood, sisterhood, united through the blood of Christ. So in his name, we thank you for this evening, and we pray that this presentation will inspire and boost in us some good decisions. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so this is my opening slide. Let's see if we can move it. So 7 elimination organs, and Sylvia told me, don't sell it so easily. Just ask your audience if they can mention some. And so if you would like to turn on your audio, whoever would like to give an answer, what of those 7 you might think about?
Lungs.
Lungs, wonderful. Lungs would be one of the 7. 6 more.
Kidney.
I heard 2 sounds, 2 voices.
Kidneys.
Kidneys, number 2, wonderful.
Skin.
Skin, number 3, excellent. Okay, so let's leave it there, and we'll list them. So liver, the order is not in priority, it's just as it comes, but liver would be really one of the big one. Kidneys, you mentioned, thank you. Bowels, we will talk about it a little more. And number 4 would be lungs. Blood, as an elimination organ. We wouldn't think normally about blood as an elimination organ. Skin, that's a big one. 20 square foot, I discovered, I didn't know. Lymphatic system, everybody has it. And then we have that 8th one, which will be our little surprise at the end. And I was sharing with my son Adam a few days ago. Thursday, I'm going to have a lecture about elimination organs. And he says, let me guess. And he said, like skin. And then he said, how about ears and ears? And I said, wow, it's so great. I would rather include it into my presentation. So this is like extra bonus for you. We talk about 7 basic ones plus 1. And this is from my son for you. So ears and ears, and then he made a definition. Oops, that's for the ears. Plug your ears or unplug your ears. He says, any opening in your body should be an elimination organ. So my son, he's 27, and he has 2 sons on his own. So he made me grandpa. And another son has another boy. So I have 3 grandsons. That's just on a side note. So as we go in these 7 plus elimination organs, there is a reason why there are so many. Somebody might actually wonder, why so many? 7. And here is the list of 2 main reasons why people are sick. Lack of nutrients, and number 2 would be too much toxicity. And I tried to find some illustration for these 2, and we will come back to this man, because what's going on here, he might be overeating, obese, but in reality, I think Gabriel in one of his lectures had the same concept. Even the obese people can be undernourished, malnourished. And that's very sad because we actually call it standard American diet, in a shortcut SAD, which technically is a very sad diet because it's causing so many people to suffer. So we are hungry, we crave for nutrients, and we eat more and more, we become obese, but actually we, with the white bread, you know, this white sugar, we don't provide nutrients, and coffee and what people eat. So let's go one by one through some of them, and I mean all of them, and with special emphasis on the elimination part of it. For example, liver is known with like 500 different functions. It's super organ in our body, and everybody knows liver when people drink too much alcohol, right? It gets hard like a stone, cirrhosis, and people can die. And what I learned as a student that kind of stuck to my mind, and I really like to share it. When digesting, nothing gets to the blood until filtered by the liver. So as we are eating the food, it is going through stomach, it gets into the intestines, and then it is channeled through the filter before it can go to the rest of the body. Isn't that amazing? So there is a reason for it, right? Because this is picking up any impurities which the body shouldn't struggle with. Liver is also known by excreting the bile, and that's important for digesting the lipids, the fat part of the diet, but it also carries away the waste products from the liver. So once the liver is full, it needs to dump all that garbage. And the best way to dump your liver would be bitter herbs. That's very interesting. Not everybody is aware of it. We worked with Sylvia in Modern Mana for 3 years, and every 2 months we had a lifestyle guest, and I love to do it together with them. So we were doing 5 days juicing, and another 5 days was a raw diet. It was excellent combination for this kind of detox and cleanse. And for the liver, we were juicing the celery, parsley, dandelion, and more bitter herbs, the better. But of course, it's not very pleasant. So you put some apple into it, green apple. And for you, your first 2 days as our guest, we are putting it with red apples just to make it a little easier to handle. But at home, if you really want to clean your liver, more bitter the better. And you can Google out bitter herbs and put them into your kind of a special cleansing few days. You know, people actually, when you tell them about cleansing the liver, have you ever lately cleansed your liver? They would be like looking at you, what are you talking about? I didn't do it last 20 years or 50 years, right? And when you look at a car and they pull out, you know, that filter, usually with oil change, we also change the filter, and you can really see how dirty it is. So this should help us realize how our liver might look like when we are dumping all sorts of impurities to our body, not realizing often, you know, how harmful it is. And so technically they say you should cleanse your liver 4 times a year with every season. So you can do it on your own, or you can order the whole kit for all sorts of all these 7 organs. Kidney, that would be another one. So here we talk about very efficient filter for ridding the body of waste and toxic substances. And kidneys are really amazing because there are, I don't know if I found it, look, 200 liters, which is about 53 gallons of blood each day, removing 2 liters, that would be like half gallon of toxins into the urine. And liver is cleansing what comes into our body through eating. The kidneys are cleansing from the cells. I picture it like every cell is making poo-poo. It dumps it to the blood. That's why blood is also part of elimination. And it goes through the filtering through the kidneys. So imagine how much of that is needed, how much water it needs in order to cleanse it. Somebody tells you the illustration, you know, like try to wash the dishes with hardly any water. It's almost impossible, right? And my auntie, my mother's sister, she worked in the hospital at the, how do you say it in English, urinology, you know, where they deal with all the kidneys and bladder and the whole urinary tract. And she told me, tell everybody that they need to drink much more water than they normally drink, because these kidneys cannot keep up with it. And kidney stones, if anybody heard about person with kidney stones, that's really a heavy pain. And very simple way how we know if we drink enough water is that we are actually our urine should be almost transparent during the day. Only time when it should be yellow, actually we are coming into it here. We talk about water as an important medium for cleansing through our liver, and you can see 70% of our body is mainly the water. Here is a practical chart I found online, this fullspike.com. So according to your weight, you can review the video and find yourself how much cups, you know, 64 ounces would be about 8 cups or half gallon. So that's somewhere where I am, 8 cups a day, and I'm trying faithfully to record every cup because I decided to consciously drink my 8 cups. If you don't pay attention, you just get 4 or 5 cups. So I really encourage you to keep track of it. There is excellent application on for the phones, Habit Bull, that's its name, and you can download the application and track whatever habit you want to focus on. It's very personalizable. So there is a test question. When alone the urine can be yellow? Can somebody tell me?
Vitamin B12.
That's right. That's excellent. I didn't think about it, but it's true.
Asparagus.
So certain this kind of supplements people are taking, they might cause the urine to turn yellow. Some kind of pills might do it too. But in a natural way, all night while we are sleeping, kidneys are not sleeping. It's like the night crew. We go to sleep and night shifts wakes up, and kidneys are really intensively working and all night filtering our blood. So in the morning we wake up, we go to the restroom, and it's really yellow, even dark yellow, right? And that's okay, because all night our kidneys were really intensively working, filtering, which is kind of an object lesson, right? We should filter our thoughts same way, just like our kidneys. And rest of the day, if we drink enough liquid, the answer is when you wake up, and during the day, it should be almost transparent, right? So that's the concept. So whenever you go to restroom during the day and you notice yellow, that means I have too concentrated, you know, this waste, and I need to help my kidneys, otherwise it's very hard for them to handle it. Okay, so that was about the kidneys in a nutshell. The third one would be the bowels. Here I found some little illustration. Everybody knows these bowels, right? And one element I like to talk about is absorption capacity. Absorption, in a sense, you are eating your food, it goes through your acids in your stomach to transfer it into kind of liquid, semi-liquid element, except the fiber. Fiber serves as a brushes, so it's constantly brushing the walls. So always look for a fiber in your diet, because that will keep cleansing all your intestines, which ends up with your ascending, transverse, and descending part of your large intestines, and it goes outside, right? So if we are eating white flour and this kind of refined food, you know, pizza type of stuff and spaghetti and all this white flour, pasta, so we are clogging actually the walls. If you heard the word villi, you know, the surface from inside of intestine through these villi is increased like 10-fold in order to create a space where the liquid of the diet is absorbed into the bloodstream and goes to our cells to feed every cell. And so if we are eating this white type of, cereals for breakfast, as I mentioned, pasta and all that stuff, white bread, we are actually clogging this capacity to absorb the nutrients into the blood. And that's very important. Actually, I was in Norway 6 times with our students from Country Life Prague, where I worked for 5 years. We had a medical missionary training program there. And in Norway, they had a lifestyle center. So we used to take our students up north from Prague. And they had a little, I forgot the name for it. They do this colon cleanse. And the part of tube is on a wall, transparent with neon light. So your patient actually can see what comes out of him. And it was really disaster to see the black plaques from these walls as this colonic cleanse is trying to release it from these walls. So make sure you eat a lot of fiber, which helps to scratch it down, and increase the absorption capacity. So that's very important element which usually people don't think about. And what's that? We got a all from constipation to pupatarian just in 10 days. So anybody who is signing up for our diet, who is that? Somebody is trying to contribute to the presentation. Okay. So we had a lifestyle guest, and if you would type on YouTube from constiparian to pupatarian, you would find a very funny 1-minute video. I was forbidden to post it here because it's kind of graphic in a way, but I post just one picture so you will see it. People who are really eating very low fiber diet, they are ending in constipation, and constipation beside other problems is actually leading to hemorrhoids, and hemorrhoids, that's something very unpleasant. And this is actually related to the way how we listen to our body. Normally, if you wake up just to dress up, go to the mirror and run to the work, this is really a disaster for your body, because normally you should wake up early enough to have time with God, just the morning devotional, and you should have time enough for peaceful breakfast. It's like filling the tank of the car in order to be able to run all day on energy. Many people just eat maybe at 10 o'clock coffee and donut, that's a standard American diet, which is really very miserable when it comes to the nutrients. And these people, when they hear the urge, when they sense the urge of the body to go to the restroom, they are actually, the manager is sitting at a business meeting. How can he do it right now? He cannot, right? So the best habit to develop it early morning for me, when I eat a breakfast, I feel it's moving my bowels. And so if you didn't count enough time for this activity, you have to run to work, you squeeze yourself, and you are actually pushing out that soft part of the poo-poo upward, and at the bottom remains the harder and harder. As the new food is coming back to the rectum, actually it becomes harder and more solid. And these muscles, as they are opening up, they are actually cracking. They are starting to bleed, and that's how people develop their hemorrhoids. And that's not fun, it's a lot of pain, it's bleeding and destroying the whole digestion. So that's a movement called pupatarian. So I encourage you to join the movement. Actually, 9 diseases out of 10, they start with our GI tract, as we call it, gastrointestinal tract, digestion. And maybe you heard that phrase somewhere: if we gain victory over appetite, we gain victory over any other temptation. So that's, people usually pray for the food, give thanks to God for meal. But I'm telling people, when you are praying for your meal, you pray, this is actually a war. Pray for self-control. Lord, help me to eat not unhealthy food, but a healthy food, and help me to eat not too much of the healthy food. So we are fighting in 2 levels. not to eat the junk, which contributes to this toxicity, and then not to eat too much, because overeating is very heavily, it's a heavy load on our nervous system and the whole body, heart system, everything. So if I would ask you how many PM in our lifestyle center, I used to ask, that was part of our morning vitals. You know, you take the blood pressure, you take the weight, and so initial every morning question was, so yesterday, how many PM did you have? And because our program was heavily built on increasing the bowel movement, we actually asked them, how many BMWs did you donate to our lifestyle center? People are laughing at it. So how many do you think we should have? Any idea? Somebody wants to answer? Everybody is shy.
2, 3 per day.
2, 3 per day. Wow. That's more than I was even thinking. The simple rule of thumb is how many times we eat, so many times we should go. So it's true. It's 2, 3 a day. And praise the Lord for that voice, whoever said it, because it looks like it works in your case, right? Because average American goes 2, 3 times a week. And going 2, 3 times a week, you are actually going to develop something. I'm going to show you. They call it pockets. So if you go once a day, that's perfect, that's good. But you know, ideally you want to learn to hear that voice of your body. As body is telling you to go, don't hush it away. You just excuse yourself politely and you do it. Otherwise, you know, we are building up all sorts of health problems. Before we go to the next slide, here is this concept: you are what you eat, usually people tell you. And that's connected with our chewing, right? We are eating, we are chewing, and people eat too fast. They don't chew enough. And the corn or pumpkin seed or tomato, you go to toilet, you look behind you. Wow, all sorts of food is just running through all the body, and you paid dollars for it and you dumped it to the toilet. The digestive value out of it was lost because it was not chewed. So that's the step number 1. But there is a step number 2. Many people have a bad habit of drinking while they are eating. And I'm sure you already heard the explanation. You are diluting the acids, and then again, it's not properly broken down into the liquid form, which can go into intestines to be absorbed. And the last stage, very important, has to be assimilated on a cellular level. It has to get to every cell. And there is a big science. They are actually saying you need to start to think on a cellular level. Many times people do a blood test and they say, okay, I have a iron in my blood, but because you don't have enough, let's say, acid, they say, you know, when you want to increase absorption of the iron into the cells, you should also folic acid, you should have some lemon, you know, something acid that can help to increase the absorption of the iron. So in your blood test, you might have a good iron levels, but in reality, it still might not get into your cells. So all 3 layers, all 3 levels are very important to pay attention to, and, you know, to study more about it. So here is something what, when you see people like this hanging the belly over their belt, what happens is they are so constipated that actually this transversive part of the large colon is so full, so stuffed that it actually drops from here. You see it? He carries in front of him, that person, his large intestine, this transverse part of it. Diverticula, they call it. And these pockets, you know, when the food is not coming out as it should go, it starts to push out itself onto the side walls. So these are these pockets, and these pockets sometimes can crack, rupture, and it goes to this the tissue in between the organs. And you can just imagine how much disaster that will bring, because that's decaying, there is fermentation, is falling apart, it's actually necro, you know, it's dying alive. And these kind of people, they really suffer a lot. So this is something what many people, when they look like this, they are already in that stage that it actually dropped down. So next time you see people like that, you tell them, hey, let me send you a link to this video to watch it. And in the background, I have a man who was probably like this man, just to give a good news, it is possible. Look, half of his size, this is what he used to have. So praise the Lord. Some people are able to get out of it, but you know, you need some coach, you need to be systematic, and you need more than 10 days to really to go through that. So I pooped today. That's what was, you know, from the video. So if you type from constiparian to poopatarian, you can find 1 minute video which we made in Modern Mana, and it was very funny. So you can buy a t-shirt somewhere maybe. Next one, number 4 from 7 will be the lungs. And what's wrong with this picture? What would you think this is a habit of this man? He looks muscle man, he looks healthy outside, right? He's maybe going to the gym every week. He has beautiful muscles, but probably he's smoking, right? And if he's smoking, we used to do stop smoking program in Czechoslovakia, and when we showed the lungs to the students, one young man from the back row, he just stood up, he came to me and he gave me the packet of cigarettes with his lighter together. Wow, he says, I never knew what I'm doing to my lungs. He was shocked. And so, you know, that's why now they put on the packages of cigarettes the pictures where it ends up when people do it. So when we talk about the lungs, garbage in, garbage out, right? So that's not right. That's not how it should be. This is how it should be. Oxygen comes in, you know, the fresh air, mainly with oxygen, and carbon dioxide is a byproduct of our digestion that comes out. And I remember just a story for you. We came with my family to United States. First time we were accepted to Wildwood, Georgia as a lifestyle educator training students. And Philip, my oldest son, was 3-year-old, and Adam was like 8 months old, who is now father of 2. By the way, he's a cancer survivor. So we are so thankful to God. That's a miracle. And these Czechoslovakia and many people, I'm sure here in America, when you have a little baby, you just give them food and you let them sleep. And in a Wildwood, there are all these lifestyle educators. The whole Wildwood is very highly educated about lifestyle principles. And they are looking at us, what are you doing with that baby? You feed the baby and let it sleep? That's not good habit, because when you sleep, you slow down your blood circulation. And reality is, when you are eating, you are actually in increased need of oxygen, because what's happening as it is digested, that food, you are actually turning, as it gets into the cells, that's called metabolism. You are burning the food into energy. It's almost like literally fire. That's the reason why we are having some temperature, 98 or how much it is in Fahrenheit, 37 something in Celsius. So as long as we are alive, we have certain level of temperature, the healthy temperature, and that's the product of burning the food into energy. And so Sunday after good lunch, people go to take a nap. Somebody Saturday after lunch goes to take a nap, and you slow down the breathing, the blood circulation, and most heart attacks happen exactly in this situation. After good lunch, people lay down. So they told us, when a baby eats, let him go for a walk, for a walk or some children's activity outdoor, not to go to take a nap. You take a nap before meal, and then when you feed a child full of energy, let him be on fresh air outside. So this is for all of us as we eat. Like right now here where we are in Maple Academy, all our canvassers, they are eating breakfast outside. So while you are eating, you are on increased levels of oxygen, which makes such a delight to eat on a fresh air. So whenever you can eat outside, eat outside. And you know, there are these negative ions, so forest, rain, storm, plenty of flowers in your home. So all of that contributes to this negative charge in the air, because we are very electrical. One more, aromatherapy, you know, that's you can go on Google and learn about it a lot. essential oils are much more concentrated in healing propensities, and even by just inhaling, you can bring a lot of relief and health for your body. And another important activity which doesn't cost you anything is just do the breathe exercises. Many people breathe very shallow way, so you really don't provide enough oxygen. And when you do exercise, the aerobic part is important. If nothing else, the brisk walk. Brisk walk, it should make you sweat and breathe more deeper. Now we go to the blood, and in Slovakia we used to have a joke, so I'll try to say it in English. Doctor is asking the nurse, so nurse, did you take the blood from the patient in room number 5? And she says, yes, he had only 5 liters. I'd like to hear you laughing. Usually you take just very little, right? So she took all 5 liters. So I went to the Google, and in gallons, that's about 1.2, 1.5 gallons. She says, the nurse in English, she took 1.5 gallon out of him. And I found this nice division, what everything is in blood. Very interesting, 91% of blood is actually water. We have some proteins there, we have some other elements, and a big portion of blood is actually the red blood cells, which are in charge of carrying oxygen to our body, to every cell. And of course, leukocytes, platelets, all the warring immune system, all the white blood cells. So here are just few ideas. Oxygen, that's what the blood carries. Nutrients, brings all sorts of hormones which coordinate the activities in our body. And again, every poo-poo, every cell makes the poo-poo to the bloodstream, and blood carries it to the kidney or to the skin. We sweat it out or we pee it out one way or another. And very important, in the Bible, we can read life is in the blood. And as a students, we had to learn by heart, perfect health depends on perfect blood circulation. I'll talk about it a little more later. So the waste product, as you can see, it's a part of what the blood is carrying, and you don't want it in the blood, you want it outside. Even when they give you a massage, if you go for a massage, I always tell, I have 2 massage schools, I always tell my clients, go to drink a lot of water after massage, that because through massage from the muscles, I pushed to your bloodstream all the waste, the uric acid from the muscle activity. So you want to be sure that you help your kidneys to get it out of your blood. I found this beautiful picture online, and there is a reason why I'm showing it this way. You see how, when you look closer at your hand, even while we are talking, isn't that amazing what a structure is there? And at every cross point, there is a little mouth, a little pore, we call it, little hole, little opening. Like my Adam said, every little hole is elimination organs. So on our skin, we have millions of these, you see it, right? And look at the beautiful statement I found here. I don't know why I got this. The little mouths in the skin through which the body breathes becomes clogged, thus making it impossible to eliminate, you see, elimination organ, impurities through that channel, which is through our skin. This throws a double burden upon the other excretory organs, which we are listing right now, and disease is soon produced. You remember 2 main reasons for disease? A lack of nutrients, even we are eating a lot, but the nutritional value is missing. A second is too many toxins in a body, and God made us such a way that it should be naturally expelled. And so here is the concept that skin is one of the biggest organs actually we have in our body, and it should constantly eliminate impurities. And my wife, she asked me, so how the skin is clogged, do you know? And I told her, you know, like our skin is constantly expelling the dead cells on the surface of the skin. So there is a good habit of brushing your skin all over, like before shower, or you on a dry level, you rub yourself with some brush, and you can see falling it down, you know, all these dead skin from the surface of all over your body. And so that's one way. People sometimes don't take enough hygiene, you know, enough showers. Very important, people don't sweat. We should sweat every day. In a sweat of your brow, you shall eat your bread. So whenever we eat, we should so many times also sweat. So that was not a curse, that was a blessing, because it's detoxification. And Sylvia tells me there is another way, and that's by all sorts of lotions people put on their skin, starting from makeup and all sorts of oils in the summer, you know, these sun lotions. So that clogs these little mouths as well. So this was very interesting. And there is another important element: dyeing is drying. I tried to create a little slogan. You know, when you touch the skin of a little children and you pull it up on your little on a hand, it has the beautiful elasticity, it just jumps back. When you pull the skin of the old man, it almost remains on that pulled stage. It's losing elasticity because every cell should be filled, loaded with the water, like a beautiful soft skin of a little children. So if you want to slow down aging, make sure you really drink those 8 cups a day, or depends on your weight, how much, because that can help all the processes in your body, including sweating out the toxins. So I discovered, you know, here is the sweat. And when you sweat, let's say under your nose, when you are running and you leak that sweat, it feels salty, right? You are actually sweating out all sorts of minerals. So it's very good habit, like we did in this 10-day challenge, to buy these, not Himalayan salt, Celtic, thank you, Celtic salt, which is very rich in minerals. So that salt can help to remineralize. So 20 square foot of skin we have, largest organ in the body, protects us from outside elements, regulates temperature, protects us from all sorts of toxins as well. It gives us sensation of touch, heat and cold, you know, all the what's happening. That's very important. And again, skin is part of elimination. So we talked about it. And I'd like to talk about wrinkles of happiness. Sometimes ladies, they try to do everything to slow down all these wrinkles, but there are 2 kinds of wrinkles. Did you know? Once I heard a lecture and it stuck to me. It's so beautiful. It's very simple, 14 or 74. Now, what do I mean by that? Look at this lady. She's so wrinkled, but I tell you, her beauty shines from inside out. The poor people are often most generous. She hardly has anything. In Romania, I was 8 years, and I met old ladies like that, and they give you all their last. You see, she's offering you her apples. It's so precious. And I used to go with my girlfriend to the mountains, and we met these shepherds in the mountains with their sheep, and they have these wrinkles around their eyes from the sun and being all day outdoor, and they are laughing and smiling. And I told my girlfriend, you know what? These are wrinkles of happiness. When I will be old, I would like to have those. So these 14 or 74, when you are happy, you stretch only 14 muscles on your face. We have about 200 muscles just on our face to express different feelings, right? But when you are stressed, when you are angry, when you are, you know, in bitter feelings, you have to stretch 74 muscles. It's much more energy demanding, draining. And so when you are relaxed, you have only 14 muscles stretched, and you develop wrinkles of happiness, and those you don't have to hide. They are, you know, the sign of a good disposition of a person. Okay, we go to another one. What is this? Can somebody tell me? We are almost at the end. That's number 7.
Lymph nodes.
Lymphatic system.
That's right, lymphatic system. Here we go. So again, just like when you go on Google and you type the picture of this. Did you say something? I didn't hear it very well. Okay, lymphatic system. So when you go on internet and you type the lymph system and the human body, I didn't want to put it here. It looks almost like the blood circulation all over the body. So this is like parallel next to it, and lymphs are known by those nodes. You know, where it's like little nuts where these systems come together, and it's good to know about them, especially when it comes to helping your lymphatic system. So here it is. They are very important part of getting rid of infective organisms and toxins within our body. Actually, it helps to destroy potentially dangerous bacteria and cancer cells, and it dumps it to the bloodstream again from this lymphatic system. And this lymphatic system is like permeating around every cell. It is also responsible for working with the circulatory system to help deliver hormones and nutrients to the tissues of the body. So that's just 3 main ideas related to lymph, and of course it's more than that. And here is something which we met in person, this guy, I forgot his name. He developed this cellulizer, cellulize, and in his lecture he's talking about children and goats and every little animal. Even the bigger animals, they like to jump, and when you are jumping, you are actually using the gravity for your benefit, because you have a double efficiency. You are shaking all millions, trillions of cells in your body whenever you are jumping. So jumping, leaping from joy, this is something which even old people can do. Of course, children, they do it naturally, and old people, they have to kind of force themselves, because we are so stiff in a way, right? Like sluggish thinking. But it says just 5 minutes of intense exercise, you know, just buy a rope and jump your rope, you know, that will be the easiest. And this will greatly, you know, improve your lymph system and pumping it. So walking, stretching, swimming, any other moderate activity will boost your lymphatic system, which will push all these toxins outside of the cells to the blood, to the kidneys, to the skin, right? So I'd like to tell you, this is the massage I'm doing to my wife. You see the clavicula, those 2 bones? You put your fingers, you can do it for yourself right now as we are talking. I don't know if you can see myself. Let me get out of there. I see, thank you, Deborah, you do it, you see? So you feel your clavicula bone, and along that bone, you see that soft tissue under it, and you push under it toward down, and you do the same on the other side. And you know, many women, they use these antiperspirants, and those antiperspirants, they contain aluminum. I don't know if you are aware of that. Aluminum is poison, so body will close the pores, this mouth, little mouth of the skin. We don't want aluminum. And as you close the pores, you are not perspirating. That's why they call it antiperspirant, against sweating. And this is actually a curse. You know, you pay money for killing yourself. So these lymph nodes are starting to collect all the poisons, which normally, these are areas we are usually heavily sweating. That's how God again made us, right? And so if you don't sweat it out, you block that those pores. Now it stays. And what happens? It goes to women's breast, to those nodes, and you get in a big trouble. They cut it out, right? So this is something which is, I tell it every time I can, you know, don't, if you buy these how do you call it, deodorants, you always look for ingredients. That's part of our label reading. And if you see aluminum, any kind of aluminum something, you say, no, I don't want it. I want something natural. I want to sweat. And you actually intentionally go out and dress heavier when it's sunshine, that you make yourself sweat. Then you take a good shower with a soap, and you don't need any of those chemicals. So back to our lecture. Hopefully it will jump to the place where we were. So this is something everybody can do for himself, and you can again just Google out different other areas, any type of, you know, when you are married, you do it to each other as a couple. That's a, you know, part of mutual being close and fond to each other. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, we go to wrap it up. Here is the summary. We talk about liver, kidneys, bowels, lungs, blood, skin, lymph. Isn't that amazing? So many parts in our body, they are all contributing to getting rid of the toxins. So hopefully after this lecture, you will say, I have to contribute. I have to help each one of those organs somehow that they can do their job to dump these toxins. Here comes the +1, that's the brain, right? And when we talk about the brain, I just, before starting this lecture, I realized I have to put a Bible verse there for you. So talking about brain, that will be a lecture on its own, right? Because that's a huge, now more and more people really study the secrets, how everything works in our brain. Frontal lobe, it's right behind our forehead, and that's the seat of our decision making, discernment, and recognizing difference between good and evil. When people drink alcohol, frontal lobe is turned off. If people listen, rock music, frontal lobe is turned off. When people are angry, your blood is rushing to your head and frontal lobe is turned off and your emotions take over. You are, what's that word? Like a bull with your nose. I forgot the English word for it. You are just breathing hard and you are losing control. So whenever you get emotional, you have to excuse yourself and go outside, calm down, and then you can go back to deal with the situation. In anger or in heavy emotions, we make wrong choices. We say words, angry words, and you cannot take them back. Seat of emotions, that's very important. And there are positive emotions, there are negative emotions, right? So we can think, praise the Lord for another day, and I start the day in a shower and I'm singing. I develop actually habit. As soon as the water hits me, I start to sing. I encourage you to do the same. Sometimes we are ashamed to sing publicly, but you can sing in a shower and you can do it every day. But when we think about ourselves, oh, poor me, I'm miserable, nobody cares about me, nobody notices, nobody appreciates, all these negative thoughts. Sylvia 2 days ago was talking about how she ended up 6 years in hell with her eczema. So emotions, we really need to pay attention to them. Memory, we have, all sorts of bad memories that needs to be purged, that needs to be like closing the chapter. We used to do a cold sheet treatment in Modern Mana, which was amazing. We induced the fever treatment in a bathtub. After that, we wrapped the person into the sheet in ice, and dumped into the ice, so it was a beautiful contrast. Then we walked them into another room with 3 wool blankets on massage table. We wrapped them in, and then Dani Vera with Sylvia, if it was female or just along with a man, there was a time of kind of closing some of the past, because people carry for years bitterness from some abuse from childhood or from bad marriage or anything, and these negative memories, they are haunting us. So actually it's your duty to forgive, not just for the sake of that person, but especially for yourself. You heard, I'm sure, some lectures on that topic. Social connections. So, every day we bump into somebody who is just not having a good day and is mean or whatever, and it triggers inside of us. Actually, we become just as mean as that person. And whenever it happens, we have to capitulate. I am angry on him because he made me angry, and we blame him, and we realize we actually are cherishing the same evil spirit, just like that person who started. And we are selling our souls, to the devil that way. So if Christ reigns in our heart, we are able to respond even in a negative environment. And so here is the slide I inserted just before the lecture, and I'm creating paraphrase of it as I'm reading from Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful, in other words, contaminated with negative thoughts about all things. That's really not human heart, but the brain, our thoughts, right? And desperately wicked, that's our heart, our brain. Who can know it? In other words, who can cleanse it, right? We have another Bible verse which says, and I think it's also Jeremiah, just like the leopard cannot change his spots, so we cannot change our heart, our mind. And I found this beautiful paraphrase that's from Message Bible from Ephesians. It says, go ahead and be angry. You cannot stop your emotions, your reactions to the bad things. But here is the second important part. This is a good but. Don't use your anger as fuel for revenge. Don't make excuses. He made me angry. That's very wrong mindset. It's our choice how we respond. People can do bad things to us, but it doesn't mean we have to be mean as they are. And don't stay angry. So when you have negative emotions, you go to the forest and you scream to God, and He can handle your frustrations and He will calm you down, and then you can go back. Don't go to bed angry, especially in a home when we have issues between ourselves in the family. Don't give the devil that kind of foothold in your life, right? So that's very critical. These emotions, we are very emotional beings. And here is kind of on a side of emotional detox. That would be the biblical term confess. When you are confessing something to one another or to God, you are releasing, you are detaching from that negative feeling. So it's a beautiful book called Adventist Home, and here is a quote: morning and evening, look at it. You should purge yourself twice a day. The father, as a priest of the household, should confess, in other words, emotional detox, to God the sins committed by himself and his children through the day. So don't confess 3 years old sins, right? Do it fresh the same day. So instead of watching TV every night, we should really close the day as a family and say, how was the day? Can we give thanks to God for something nice? Was there something bad? Shall we confess something and, ask God for forgiveness? And look how deep it is. Those sins which have come to his knowledge, to the Father as a priest, and also those which are secret, of which God's eye alone has taken cognizance, should be confessed. That's very interesting, because we say, oh, I didn't steal, I didn't sleep with somebody, so I'm good. And there are sins of commission when we do something bad, but there are sins of omission. We were ignorant, we didn't even do something what we should do. The easiest story is the Samaritan, right? You are passing by situation and you ignore it. You just let somebody else deal with it. And so many times you see a garbage on the floor, you train yourself to lift it up for the sake of being sensitive to issues that we should respond. So this rule of action, zealously carried out, look how beautiful it is, by the father when he is present, or by the mother when he is absent. Sometimes he goes to work early morning, will result in blessings to the family. So this will be one of the way how we can approach our mind, our brain, when it comes to, all sorts of negative memories or negative feelings. So let's close with a little wrap up. So for each of those organs, I was putting some kind of simple ideas. For liver, bitter herbs, detox 4 times a year, just in a nutshell. Of course, you don't want to drink alcohol, you don't want to drink coffee, anything which obviously is bringing toxins to the body. Kidneys, transparent urine during the day, nothing of this kind of drink. You see that monster? This is a cross of Jesus with that cloth. And this is in Hebrews 6:6. Many people don't know about it. That's very evil. And the content of this type of drinks is so toxic, right? So you don't want any of that. You want juice, you want tea, herb tea, you want pure water and plant-based milks. Bowels, at least once a day. That would be the ideal. So make sure you get enough fiber. Lungs, no smoking, brisk walks, increase your lung capacity, intentionally deep breathe while I'm talking to you. Fill your tummy, fill your lungs, and then focus on under the clavicle, under these bones. Fill it to the very top, to the brim. Blood, when we talk about blood, perfect health depends on perfect blood circulation. So people have a tight clothes, people are using short sleeves, the blood is not circulating there, so it's in a trunk. So when you have cold feet, cold hands, go and do 10 squats, you warm up immediately. And the blood starts to circulate. You have a headache, stick your feet to the bucket with hot water as much as you can bear. You drain the blood to your feet and the headache is gone. So many headaches are just from, such a simple treatment can be resolved. Skin in the sweat of your brow. So brush your skin, old cells, get rid of them, and make sure you sweat every day, one way or another. This is kind of a homework for you, right? Here is the sweating. good lymph massage, and you can go on YouTube how you can auto massage yourself and find those little techniques how you can do it. And when we talk about the brain, forgive, confess, stimulate. So we need to forgive one another every day, because we are selfish. Always we run into conflicts. We have to confess it. Don't hold it yourself. Many women don't tell anything until they want to divorce. So we have to learn how to communicate and stimulate your brain. Otherwise your brain becomes sluggish. Learn the Bible verses, learn to sing, read some biographies of people who accomplished something meaningful in their lives. And what came from my son, I thought I should develop that one. You know, when you are cleaning onion, you start to cry, and these are your tears, which are also detoxing. So it's really true. Go often to forest with your emotions. So that would be, you know, a deeper than just onion. Be swift to hear and slow to anger. Selfishness is overcome by regular giving. I have a picture for it. And if anybody is interested, I really appeal to you, go to our website, and you will find a character building seminar, even the training there. We will be happy to take care of you, to interact with you, to encourage you. There are 40 video lessons or PDF or audio version, either form, video, audio, or reading. You can print it and read it. So that's my closing slide, nutrients and detox. Look how this woman is giver, giver, giver. And this old man, I like that picture, reminds me of grandpa. So he's tearing out his bitter feelings and he feels much better. Every woman does that. The guys, they don't cry, so they have to do it when they are alone. So I'm just renaming it, giving life and cleanse. So that's all what was on my heart for today for you about 7 elimination organs. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to try to respond as much as I'm able. If not, I'll research it for you. And if not, we can close it. Any thought, any reflection, what you heard? Are you aware of your elimination organs? Are you helping them to eliminate? You can turn on your mics.
I wanted to add that when you do the lymph system, you mentioned massage, but another thing that people can do is that little bouncing, looks like a little tiny trampoline. And
I mentioned it, yes.
Oh, you did, wonderful. I must have just missed that one.
Yeah, the jumping is very important, because all the cells will get in motion and that will release to lymphatic system the toxins. Thank you, that's true, that's good. Any other ideas how you are detoxing? Do we have somebody who is cleansing his liver intentionally? He's aware of doing that, just like we take shower.
Is drinking hot lemon water every day
Very
cleansing
good.
the liver?
It contributes, that's for sure. And you know, bitter herbs, that's what I know about. And then of course, intentionally avoiding anything which is toxic in itself, you know, like we have to read the labels, all these additives given to the, you know, shelf life needs to be as long as possible. And in nature, things would shrink and dehydrate. But because we are in our agriculture growing the foods as we do, they are becoming rotten on the shelf. So they pump it with all sorts of chemicals in order to prolong it, because then they can sell more. So in a business, they care for money, not for our health. So all these nutritional values are messed up. So that's related to liver too. Okay, so thank you so much. Once this is, yeah, go ahead.
Very good.
You're welcome. Rennie, did you want to say something?
Can you re-explain your 5-liter joke?
What are you saying?
We liked your 5
Can you
liters of blood
re-explain
joke.
your 5-liter?
Oh, you like my Slovak joke?
I didn't.
I didn't see
understand
your
it.
faces. Okay. The patient had only 5 liters, so she took it off.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thank you so much. I wish you a good night. And once this is uploaded, I'll send you the link. You can share it with your friends.
Okay.
Thank you, Ludo.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.